participation, I almost always ask that question or a version of it to see what the parents and teachers there come up with. And I get a range of answers, though they predictably fall into several kind of categories. Well, one is that real progressive education, which is not just about ending traditional practices, but about a number of other related shifts, including helping students to create meaning rather than just memorize facts and practice skills, giving students more say about what it is they're doing, having an educational environment that is more about collaboration than about competition or even self-sufficiency. All of these things challenge basic assumptions, not just in schools, but in our culture. And they're fundamentally viewed as well, subversive, as unsettling to us based on what we've been raised to assume. And so there's a strong undercurrent toward conservative beliefs that have been accepted as mainstream wisdom in our culture. That's one answer. Another one is that there's a lot of fear. There's fear on the part of teachers about whether they'll get to keep their jobs, about whether they're going to be attacked by their administrators or by parents and so on. And so they tend to play it safe, understandably. And in turn, the administrators have their own fears there, and so do the parents. Another kind of answer is that it takes time and talent and care and courage to do the kind of teaching that we're talking about here. And so there's, apart from what's unsettling about the ideological components of traditional education, it's just harder to do. I mean, basically, any idiot can stay a chapter ahead of students in a textbook and just march through to cover a curriculum that's already set or handed down from above. It takes a much more skilled and experienced educator to help students discover, because that requires a deeper understanding of the content being taught and a deep in the bone proficiency at teaching itself, not just the curriculum, but pedagogy, what it means to focus less on what you're doing and teaching than on what it means to learn and to facilitate learning. So all of these may help to explain why we seem to be trapped. And then, of course, there are larger political and economic explanations for the persistence of dysfunctional teaching approaches that shouldn't be, I guess, waved away. The people who have most of the power to impose mandates on teachers are often those who know the least about how children learn. You know, if you're a billionaire like Bill Gates, you don't have to know a damn thing about education. You can buy the Common Core curriculum and make sure that that's imposed from above, which is pretty much what happened. Right. You know, if you're a politician, you get to decide whether there's high-stakes standardized testing, even though you know nothing about the best way to teach or to assess, and so on. And then there's the, I guess, larger question I always think about, which is if progressive education helps students to acquire not only the capacity, but the disposition, the desire to think critically about systems in which they find themselves, to be true, active thinkers in a democratic culture, is that really what the people in charge want? Do they I mean, that's why when politicians and corporate executives make speeches about education reform, they almost never talk about democracy in a meaningful sense or what's in the best interest of children. They talk about education as an investment. They talk about the competitive global economy in the 21st century. They talk about schooling as if it's nothing more than a means to an end, and the end is about beating people who live in other countries.
Yeah.
So if that's what's driving education, is thinking about dollars and cents, thinking about winning and losing, well, then you're going to have exactly the kind of traditional approach to education that we have.